Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be going over how to create a simple Python game where the user has to try and guess a random number given by the program. But before we get started, please don't forget to like and subscribe on this video if you want to learn all there is to know about the Python programming language. Without further ado, let's get started. So in today's video, we're just going to be learning how to create a simple Python programming game where the user has to try and guess a random number. Now, before we can have the user guess a random number, we have to have the random numbers. So to do that, we're going to import a random library from Python. So we're going to put import, and then we're going to put random. So this is a library that Python has, which will which imports the random module, which provides different functions for generating random numbers. And with this random module, we will use this module to generate the secret number that the player is trying to guess. Now we're going to have to create a variable that this player is trying to guess. So we're going to put secret number, and then we're going to put that equal to random dot randint, and then we're going to put, so randint is basically an integer from the random module, and then we're going to put a range. So we're going to put 1 to 100 inclusive. So this is inclusive. So basically what this line of code does is it generates a random integer between 1 and 100 inclusive and stores it in the variable secret number. This is the number that the player is trying to guess. Now we're going to set the number of maximum guesses to 10. So we're going to put max underscore guesses equals 10. So this line sets the maximum number of guesses that the player is allowed to make to 10. And if the player does not guess the correct number within 10 guesses, then they lose the game. You can set this number to whatever you want, but I think 10 is a good number. Now we're going to have to greet the player and explain them what the game and what the objective of the game is. So we're going to put print. And what we're going to print here is welcome to the number guessing game. So welcome to the number guessing game. So that is what we will print first, and then we're going to do another print, and then we're going to print here, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. So I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. Okay, and I will be printing another message that says you have 10 guesses to guess my number. Okay, so you can put these messages, any message you like. It's just based on your preference. I'm just going to keep it with these three. So what these lines of program do is they greet the player and explain them the rules of the game. They tell the player that the computer has generated a random number between 1 and 100, and the player has 10 guesses to try and guess the number. Okay, now we're going to initialize the number of guesses remaining. So we're going to put guesses underscore remaining equals, so we're going to create a new variable, and we're going to put that equal to max guesses. So what this does is it initializes the variable called guesses remaining to the maximum number of guesses, which is 10. This variable will keep track of how many guesses the player has remaining. And then now we're going to start by making the guessing loop. So we're going to put while, and then we're going to put the variable guesses remaining. So we're going to copy paste this, while guess remaining, and they're going to put is greater than 0. We can't put greater than or equal to 0 here because you can't have 0 guesses remaining and then still be able to guess. So this line starts a loop that will continue to run as long as the player has guesses remaining. Within this loop, the player will be prompted to enter their guess, and the computer will check whether their guess is correct. So we're going to put we're going to create a variable called guess, and we're going to set that equal to int, and we're going to put input, and we're going to put enter and your guess. So what this line of code does is it prompts the player to enter their guess and stores this variable in the variable guess. The int function is used to convert the player's input into an integer. So that's basically the gist of that line of code. Now we're going to check if the guess is too high or too low. So what we're going to do here is inside of the while loop, we're going to put a nested if statement, which says if guess, and we're going to say is greater than secret number. Then we're going to put print your guess is too high. And what happens if the player's number is less? Well, we're going to put an elif, so else if guess is less than secret number, we're going to put print your guess is too low. So we're going to put that. And then after that, we're going to put an else statement. And the else statement is if the player has guessed the number correctly, so the game is over. So we're going to put else. We don't have to put anything after the else because there is only one option left, which is if the player guesses it correctly. So we're going to put print congrats, and we're going to say you guessed my number. And then just to make sure that the while loop does not run again, we're going to put the break. So break just stops the loop in its tracks so that it doesn't keep going. And then we need to also make sure that the right here, the max guesses, it keeps going down. This is because we can't just keep having the player have 10 guesses without going down to 9 guesses every single time they get it wrong. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to subtract 1 from the value of guesses remaining. So we're going to put guesses remaining right here, and we're going to put minus equal to 1. So what this does is it decrements the number of guesses remaining by 1 every single time. And then now we have to make a program that checks if the player ran out of guesses. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to have to put an if statement again, which says if guesses remaining, and then we're going to put is equal to. So we have to put double equal to because we're not setting a variable. We're setting it equal to we're checking if it's equal to 0. And then we're going to put print sorry, and we'll say you ran out of guesses. Okay, so now we're also going to have to print the secret number was, because the user is probably going to want to know what the secret number was. So we're going to put the secret number was, and then we're going to put colons, space, and then we're going to put right here, comma, and we'll put secret number. So this is the code of how we're going to get the user to play the simple game. So let's review and walk through our code. So right here we're going to be doing something called the import random. So this line imports the random module, which provides functions for generating random numbers. We will use this module to generate the secret number that the player is trying to guess. Then we create the value or the variable called secret number. This line generates a random number between 1 and 100 inclusive and stores it in the variable secret number. This is the number that the player is trying to guess. Next, we set the number of max guesses to 10, and if the player does not guess the number within 10 guesses, they lose the game. So this block of code right here, this block of code just greets the player. So this block of code greets the player, and then next we have initializing this variable called guesses remaining. So this line initializes the variable guesses remaining to the maximum number of guesses, which is 10. This variable will help keep track of how many guesses the player has remaining. Then we're going to start the loop right here, which is right here. We're going to start the loop. And then this line starts a loop that will continue to run as long as the player has guesses remaining. Within this loop, the player will be prompted to enter their guess, and the computer will check whether the guess is correct. And to check whether the guess is correct, we have an nested if statement right here, which will check if the guess, which is what the player enters right here, is greater than or less than the secret number. And depending on what it is, it'll print a message. But if the player gets it correct, it'll print congrats, and it'll break the loop, which means to stop it. And then we have another thing, or another line of code right here that decrements the number of guesses remaining by 1 every single time the player guesses. This is to make sure that the player will run out of guesses without having infinite guesses. And then we have another if statement right here, which checks if the guesses remaining is equal to 0, and it'll print sorry, you ran out of guesses, and it'll tell the user what the secret number was, depending on if they have 0 guesses. So let's go ahead and run our code. Okay, so this is what we get when we run our code. And it says, welcome to the number guessing game. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. You have 10 guesses to guess my number and enter your guess. So we just click on the console right here and we enter our guess. So I actually have no clue what the number is. So this is going to be my first time trying to guess it. So we're going to guess mid-even with 50. Your guess is too high. Okay, we're going to try 35. Too low, 40. Too high, so between 35 and 40, we're going to guess 38. Too high, 36. Congrats, you guessed my number. Okay, so the number was 36. And just to prove that this gives a random number every single time, we're going to run this code again, and we're going to guess 36 because that was the last answer. And if we guess it, it says your guess is too low, which shows that this is not the right number. And let me just go ahead and try to finish this game. 56, 45, 50. Okay. So that's how you create a simple number guessing game in Python. I hope you found this video interesting. I hope you had a great time coding it, playing it with it, and showing it off. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.